Hi, I'm Mike, Head of Career Services here at CareerFoundry. Today, I'm going to help you prepare for your first UX design interview so you can go in feeling confident, composed, and ready to impress. Remember, an interview is an opportunity. It's a chance to get to know your future employer, find out more about the role, and to see if you're a good fit. When a company invites you to an interview, they're seeking to answer 3 core questions. 1. Can you do the job? In other words, do you have the necessary skills, strengths, and experience to do this job well? 2. Will you love the job? This is all about what motivates you and whether or not this aligns with the nature of the role and the company. And 3. Are you a good fit for the company? So, are you someone who will work well with and add value to the existing team? I'm not going to talk about the importance of being on time and looking presentable. Instead, I'm going to share real tips and insights that will enable you to ace any UX interview and break into the design industry. So let's get started. First off, what can you expect from the UX interview process? These days, you can probably expect to have a phone or Skype interview before you get invited to a face-to-face chat. Of course, this varies from company to company, but most employers will definitely try to narrow it down to a smaller pool of candidates before they start inviting people in. At this stage, they want to know why you applied for the role, so make sure you have a good answer at the ready. Do plenty of research on the company and be ready to relate their needs to what you can offer. Of course, this is also your chance to learn more about the role. If there's anything that's unclear in the job description, don't be afraid to ask. Some obvious but crucial points to remember before your phone or Skype interview are: make sure you're somewhere quiet. There's absolutely nothing worse than having to compete with loads of background noise, so don't take the call on a crowded train or in a busy cafe. If you're doing a video call, try to find a neutral background. Don't sit at your desk with your unmade bed in full view. Finally, make sure you have good reception and that all devices are charged. You want to come across professional and competent, so be well prepared and well presented. The big thing in UX is process, and that's exactly what recruiters want to see. How do you work? How do you think? How do you solve problems? When interviewing for UX design roles, you should be prepared for some kind of hands-on, skills-based challenge. You might be given a design task to take away and complete on your own, but there's also every possibility that you'll be asked to perform on the spot. One fairly common interview technique is the Whiteboard challenge, where you're presented with a problem that you need to design a solution for. You're expected to document your process in real time on a whiteboard and to talk the panel through it as you go. This can be really stressful, especially if it's your first UX interview, but no need to panic. While these kinds of tasks are supposed to catch you unawares, there are a few things you can do to prepare. First and foremost, have a mental template at the ready. This might be a list of headings that you write up on the board in order to frame your overall process in a logical way. With any design challenge, you need to show the recruiter the following. How would you approach this problem? Here, you can talk about things like user research and testing. Do you truly understand the problem? Do you understand your users? This is where you talk about user goals and needs, as well as assumptions and constraints to the design process. What does a user journey look like? Here, you can focus on user flows and wireframes. Are there any other factors that need to be considered? Be sure to demonstrate an understanding of accessibility in design. Practice talking through your processes out loud, even if it's just to yourself in your bedroom. Another option is to get a few friends together and ask them to be your panel while you practice. Write down some potential design challenges, pick one out of a hat, set a timer, and get practicing. In a skills-based interview, you might be presented with a company-specific design problem, so make sure you know the product and its target users well beforehand. Whatever task you're faced with, remember that the recruiter wants to see your process in action. Don't take shortcuts just to get to a finished product. Show them exactly how and why you make decisions. Now, let's go over some classic interview questions and what they really mean in a UX design context. First up, tell me about yourself. You can pretty much guarantee that you'll be asked something like this at the start of the interview. It sounds vague enough, but it is not an invitation to tell your life story. What they really want to know is, what made you apply for this role? What led you to UX design and what makes you a good fit for the job? What sets you apart from other candidates? Talk about what attracted you to the position in the first place and how your journey so far makes you ideal for the role. It's all about telling a relevant, cohesive story. Another common interview question is, what are your strengths? The trick here is to highlight, say, 3 strengths that are the most applicable to the role. The recruiter really wants to see if you possess the right skill set and that you know why these skills are so important. To answer this question, think about the research you did as part of your application process and pre-interview preparation. Which of the listed skills had you thinking, I'm really good at that? Pick the top 3 things you can talk about with passion. Explain why and what they mean to you. Wrap up with a quick pitch as to why they make you successful at what you do. Just as common, but a bit more tricky, is when recruiters ask you to talk about your weaknesses. It's important to be strategic here. While you want to be honest, you don't want to say anything that's going to sink your chances. Stay well away from cliches, like, I'm a perfectionist, or I just work too hard. This reveals nothing valuable about you, and might even set alarm bells ringing. The real question here is, how do you learn from your mistakes? If you can, share an example of a time when you realized you could have done things differently, and how you took this on board the next time a similar situation came up. It's important to show that you're receptive to feedback and use it to move forward. When heading to your first UX design interview, it's also a good idea to have a printed copy of your portfolio with you. You might be asked to talk through it or give a brief presentation, so it can be useful to practice this beforehand too. Ultimately, interviews are a chance for both you and the employer to suss each other out. Are you a good match? Can you bring value to their organization, and vice versa? In a UX interview especially, make sure you share as much insight as possible into your process and how you solve problems. Be confident about the skills you have to offer, and just try to relax and be yourself. For more career change and interview tips, head over to the CareerFoundry blog. Thanks for watching, and good luck.